Howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some pathofexile 1 discussion. Keeping this one short, but I had some pretty extraordinary luck in a Voyage recently. This was still in yellow maps, and I wanted to showcase it because there's a lot of people saying, don't do the league mechanic, it's not worth it. Whereas actually I have found exactly the opposite. Here you'll see my luckiest Voyage. In this one, I get 7 raw divine orbs, and they're all caused by me getting one of the really busted things that's on the border of the grid. So that's a miracle to hit that. However, as well as that, I also pulled out, I think, something like 5 or 6 messages in a bottle from this Voyage. And at the current fastest prices at the time, that was like an instant 2 divines for getting 5 of them, a smidgen more if I'd gotten 6. And then there was just a bunch of bubblegum that kind of adds up. So anyways, 7 divines from a miracle drop, 2 divines from things that are much more realistic to see every time you go down into the deeps. And then there's just a bunch of other little stuff that, you'd get the same stuff mapping, scarabs and all that sort of fun stuff. I'll showcase the snippets from the stream here, and keep in mind this character is still something I'm kind of working out where I want to take it. Originally I was going to go with Penance Brand Ignite, and then I found Fireball was just tearing the axe apart. Fireball, however, has unfortunately really started to hit a bit of a brick wall, and I'm not sure what gear I want to get to, in terms of where I want to invest next. So I haven't yet made any big decisions there. That'll be worked out over the next little while. But here's the footage of the actual run, and you'll see this is all taking place, I think, in a tier 6 equivalent Voyage, maybe tier 7 or tier 8. Very low tier content and very high rewards. Firstly, anything bonkers here? Rare monsters in adjacent areas drop an additional divine orb. Okay. Got to figure out how to get there now. That's the only thing that's important. So, I assume that Voyage, rare monsters in all Voyage areas have 50% chance to fracture on death is nutty. For this, so I do not want this one. Monsters have a chance to be empowered by 2,000 wisps.
We're on it.
Okay, adjacent areas, extra rare monsters, so that definitely is getting used. Rare doesn't work. Rare monsters. Right, that's gonna get used there. I did farm a bunch of these, yeah. Yep, I was just doing them back to back offline for a period.
Deep breaths.
Yoink. Number 1. I may only get 3 or so, but still that's nuts. I may get more than 3. Let's just play this careful and slow. Nothing risky. That's eventually the plan canvas. I am using the heralds because they're still good stuff on their own. But they were hard carrying earlier and they're not hard carrying anymore. So I can only assume that this is the equivalent of getting like an Eater Divine Orb Altar in terms of rarity. Like, it's not something you ever count on, but it will happen. It may not happen to you. The difference is that you got a bit more agency once it does happen. Like, Eater Divine Altars are like, you've already made your decisions for that map. After this little quadrant here, I'm going to send up the capsule, I think. I'm just glad I can play this really safe. Like, I'm on a build that, whilst I'm not very powerful, I can certainly play things safe and careful. Alright, send that up to the surface.
need more mana.
Well, this more than doubles the number of divine orbs I've had all league as direct monster drops. And one of those I lost. One of them, the fourth one I lost in heist, because it dropped during the escape phase. I should also mention something people may not be aware of. This particular coral reef chart sold for 33 chaos. It sold reasonably slowly, but it did sell. And that's because it has that clam-infested shelf text on it. The clam-infested shelf ones provide ridiculous amount of gold. Actually, the whole mechanic provides a lot of gold, but if you're wondering why I've got more than 1 million gold at the moment, that's the reason. I have not yet finished the entire Atlas. I've got more than 1 million gold, and that's because this mechanic is much more lucrative for gold even than Mirage was. Anyways, time will tell whether this is one of those cases like Calandra League, where early on people were saying, oh, we're not getting very much in the way of drops, and they actually weren't getting very much in drops, and the mechanic wasn't very lucrative. Or whether it was like Affliction League, when people on day 2 and 3 were complaining, saying, hey, there's no loot, where's the loot, what's going on? And it was because people just hadn't worked out how the mechanic worked yet. Kind of feel it could be somewhere in between. There's definitely lucky outcomes that can happen. And even when you don't get lucky, you do get a steady stream of those messages in a bottle, which really add up if you turn around and sell them. But at the same time, I've only got a small sample size, as has everyone else at the moment. I guess we'll see. May your Val Orbs and your Voyages have interesting results.